we make beauty solutions for your water. Hard water is water that is basically packed with minerals such as like calcium and magnesium. UK, this was in 2020, was ranked last for like worst bathing water.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Catch Ups in My Kitchen with me, Georgia Simmons, host of the podcast. This week, I am joined by Karlee, the founder of Hello Klean, the brand that is out there to stop hard water from damaging both our skin and our hair. Now, I'm sat here in London and oh my God, the water here is so hard. And I can just tell that by descaling my shower head or filtering the water out of my kettle or the hard white marks all over my kitchen, I can just see how hard the water is here. And so I was so excited to have a conversation with Karlee about how Hello Klean is helping prevent this problem. Because after speaking with Karlee, it's actually crazy how many issues can stem from hard water. Like if you're finding that your hair, the color in your hair is like getting brassy or getting a tinge of green, that can be because of the hard water. If you're finding you're getting dry skin or psoriasis or your eczema is flaring up or your scalp feels a bit flaky or itchy, all of this can be due to hard water. And you know that feeling when you go away on holiday and your hair just feels so much better, and then you come back to reality and you're like, this is just such a shame. Like, why can't my hair feel like it does on holiday at home? That is all because of hard water. So this conversation was amazing, where Karlee explained her personal experience with how hard water really affected her and the process of creating Hello Klean in order to combat that problem. I hope you enjoy this episode. I really did. If you did, please give us a follow, rate the podcast. I know not many people think about rating the podcast, but honestly, it makes such a difference to the growth. And there's a lot of growing to be done at Catch Ups in My Kitchen, especially in 2025. We have some really exciting plans. So yeah, please keep supporting. It really means the world. So let's go and welcome Karlee to the kitchen. Karlee, welcome to my kitchen. How are you?
I'm doing really well, thank you.
Good, it's so nice to have you here. I'm so excited to talk all things Hello Klean. Before we do you mind giving a really quick elevator pitch, who you are and what you do?
So my name is Karlee and I'm the co-founder of Hello Klean. We make beauty solutions for your water. So we have products that are, in the filtration space, body care, as well as hair care space, and they all address different pain points and essentially stop hard water from ruining your hair and skin.
Amazing. I mean, we were just touching briefly before we started recording, and it's like you're solving the problem at the source rather than solving it afterwards. And I just think that's so great. And we're here in London, which probably has one of the worst waters ever. So we'll get onto all of that in a minute. Before we do, we have a quick fire round about all things food, just to kind of kick things off.
Okay.
So, cook in or eat out?
Cooking.
What's your favourite restaurant in London?
What's my favourite restaurant in London? That's a really good one. I like this Iranian restaurant in Soho called Jack.
It's insane. No one said that on here actually, and
Really?
It is the best yet.
It is.
So good. What is your go-to Deliveroo?
What is my go-to Deliveroo? Depends on the mood, but sometimes Five Guys.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good one. Go-to cuisine?
Sichuan.
Okay, nice. What's your go-to fridge or cupboard staple that isn't the basics?
Isn't the basics. Coconut milk?
Yeah, we've had that one actually on here before, and it's so true, like the tinned. Yeah. And what's your favourite dish to cook at home?
I make Hainanese chicken.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, that is a good one. Okay, let's start with hard water. What even is hard water?
Hard water is water that is basically packed with minerals such as like calcium and magnesium. And some of the telltale signs that you have hard water is if you have like lime scale over your shower, it's that like white filmy residue. Or if you're a tea drinker, you're noticing that there is like an oily, floaty kind of like cover that's on your tea. And also when your like clothes feel harder to the touch after laundry. But essentially, like these are, when the water passes through natural like rocks and stuff, it picks up sediments, and then these calcium and magnesium elements then make the water really hard. So then what you're seeing with like the limescale residue that's on your showers is that it also lingers onto your skin and hair. And that can potentially be a precursor for flare-ups, irritation, dryness, and that crispy feeling when you're washing.
Honestly, all that you said then is just so true. Like, London is so bad. And when you said about the tea, I've not noticed that before, apart from today. So I've got tea here, and I use filtered water in my kettle, and I also filter the water coming out the kettle. And I opened the lid and I was like, what's that on my tea? And it was a film of like, it looks like oil. Mm-hmm. It's horrible. So why is London so bad? Because I do think that I have to constantly like descale everything. It seems particularly bad here. Why is that?
So over 60% of the UK actually has hard water. So that's located around south and southeast of England. And it's very much just built on, like the geological circumstances of like the bedrock and like how everything is built.
Okay. It is crazy because I know that when I go back home to Somerset, where my family are from, it's just everything feels so much better. My kind of towel feels different. And here in London, it just feels so bad. So you then had your own personal experience, which then led you to start Hello Klean. What was your personal experience with kind of hard water, skin and hair problems that led you to then start the brand?
Yeah. So for the past couple of years, I relocated very often for work. So I'm originally from Western China, but I grew up in Vancouver, which is one of the home to the softest water and the best quality water in the entire world. So, once I started going to college and then also, working in Dubai, as well as New York, I would find that every single time I moved, I was suffering from different hair and skin issues. And it's almost like they were different based on each place. So for instance, like when I was like living in Dubai, I was showering, and every time I did this to my hair, I would notice just a lot more hair fall than usual. And I actually founded the brand Hello Klean in Berlin. And when I was living there, I would notice that every single time I shower, I would have like a red sensitive patch around my feet. So I was like freaking out. I was going to a dermatologist, visiting a trichologist, and I was like, okay, am I deficient on my vitamins? Why am I losing this much hair? Tried different supplements, tried changing my products, did different face masks, all of that stuff. But it always felt like it was just somehow a band-aid to the issue, because it would then pop up in other ways further down the line. So I started to do research and found that it was the water and hard water that I was sensitive to. And once I had that aha moment, I started to look for solutions for myself. So the first option that I found was these huge descalers they're just really gigantic, and you need a plumber to fit it in. I was like, that's not an option because I was renting, and I don't think my landlord would be very happy with that. And then the other option was going on Amazon and looking for the shower heads with, maybe you've seen them with the beads inside. And I guess as a beauty consumer and also somebody who previously worked in the beauty industry, that I guess type of messaging or branding or just how they talk about the products just did not appeal to me. So I was like, okay, what else can I do? And went on Reddit, and people were like, oh, if you move to London and you have like scalp buildup, which is that film on your scalp. It makes it like really flaky, oily, everything at the same time. You can dilute vinegar with water and just do a hair rinse. I was like, so I tried it. And there was a couple of other like options. One was like putting baking soda on your hair. And I was like, okay, that one sounds really intense. Let's go with the vinegar one. And the vinegar one turned my hair into like a salad. Was going out and people were like, what's the smell? I was like, that's me doing a kitchen DIY.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but fast forward to a lot of like, I guess like trial and error. I was like, there has got to be the opportunity where people can talk about what's inside their water, how it's impacting their hair and skin, but still done in a less industrial way, and also really relatable, and also just physically very like appealing to look at when it's in the shower.
That's the thing. Like, we are aesthetic people. We like to go into our bathroom and like it looks nice. Like, we buy with our eyes. We spend so much money on like interiors and all that kind of stuff, not to then put some clunky, horrible thing in our shower just to filter the water out. So that makes so much sense. And it's actually crazy, like, hearing you talk. Like, I have this like dermatitis on my face. It's really, really subtle, but I notice it. And over the summer, I spent a lot of time in Mallorca. And I was like on the phone to my mum, and I was like, oh my God, it was so nice. Like, when I was away, that kind of patch on my chin kind of went. And now I'm back in London, it's back again. And I'm like, right, it's my products. Again, that's the first thing we think about, right? Because we're putting products on our skin every day.
Yeah.
But we're also showering with the same water every day. So, and it's 100% the water, not the products, because my products have been the same. The only thing that's changed is my location, which means the water's changed, which is crazy, and it actually makes so much sense. But no one really talks about that very often. Like, the healthiest thing we can do is drink lots of water, but it's no point drinking lots of water if the water isn't that good quality.
Yeah.
And I guess the same for like our skin and our hair. Like, the best thing you can do is like wash your hair if you're like to be hygienic. But if the water isn't good, then that's not great. So when you then were formulating what to do in terms of filter and products, what was important that you had to include in order to strip back some of the hardness of the water?
Yeah, no, I think you said it perfectly well. And I think in the beginning, we always tell this to our customers because it's something quite new to the market, right? And it's like, your water affects your beauty routine just as much as the products you use. So kind of taking that into like how we formulate, looking at like the ingredients inside the products. So starting from the filtration range, we use, I think safety comes first, right? Because ultimately this is something that you are going to be washing with. Like, some people take a shower once, I do it twice a day.
To be clean.
Yeah, so essentially we use something called a redox technology, which binds with the chlorine as well as heavy metals in your water. So it makes it benign. So for instance, like chlorine becomes chloride. So when then it passes through the filter, goes on your hair and skin, it's less stripping. Compared to if you're not using a filter. And then with our wash off products, all the hair and also the body products, we formulate with something called the Clean Complex, which is essentially a mixture of ingredients that acts as a gentle chelator. And a chelator is something that basically, again, it binds with calcium and magnesium, and it prevents them from overstaying their welcome.
Okay, this makes sense. So for anyone listening, what kind of skin or hair conditions does hard water cause? Because someone might be listening and being like, oh yeah, but like, I don't have issues. But actually they might have issues. Like, one of the ones I saw on your website, which I was like, oh my God, is like, if you get highlights, like blonde highlights, for example, and they go brassy really quickly, that's to do with water.
Yeah.
And like, that's something that people might not even think about. So what other kind of conditions are there?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a long list, but I think starting with the hair color one. So when we are looking at like the hair color, especially with blonde fading, it can have two different scenarios. Sometimes it can make it look very brassy or orangey, and that has something to do with the iron content inside the water because it's an oxidizer. So any of the residue that stays on your hair then oxidizes and turns it, like very orangey and unappealing. And I mean, you are also a blonde, but do you also notice that once in a while, if you go on a summer vacation, you're in the pool a lot, it has a green tint. So that's done with copper and chlorine. When those two elements are combined and the residue stays, and the way how copper oxidizes, it turns green. So that's to start with hair color, but I think moving over to like skin, what it does is that, so like hard water doesn't cause eczema, but if you are someone who already has dermatitis, you will notice that you will get more frequent flare-ups living in a hard water area compared to a soft water one. And I was looking through one of like the studies just a while back, and it was saying that children who were bathing like in hard water areas at a very young age have 47% more likelihood to develop eczema compared to a soft water one.
Wow.
And this is just because it can be so drying and so irritating that any dryness is a precursor for other sensitivities and issues to occur. And overall, like with hair, what we notice and what I notice personally is that you have that brittle feeling, and we always say this to our customer, it's crispy hair, like a bag of like, I don't know, instant noodles. And this is because when you are washing with hard water, the calcium magnesium residue just lingers and it crystallizes when your hair dries. So then this prevents any of the proper nutrition from going in or out, and then it's prone to breakage and hair that easily snaps. Sorry, that was a long one.
No, but it makes so much sense. And like, I know, like, I mean, so many people will know that their shower needs descaling, and when you actually descale your shower head, it's actually quite scary to see. And also, like, I blade down my shower because of the water creates the marks on the shower pane, and that's exactly what it's doing to your body, and it's actually quite crazy. And I guess I'm also kind of just thinking aloud, obviously you get out of the shower, you dry yourself off with the towel, but then the towel's also been in that water, so that's probably also not great in terms of washing your towel and stuff. That's probably not, I'm guessing it, I know you do kind of shower filters rather than pipe filters, but I'm sure it's probably going to be the same thing on your towel.
Yeah, you also have that residue on your towel as well. And then there's also something called soap scum. So what happens is, like, when you are washing with hard water, any of the soap products, right? Whether it's a laundry detergent or it's, your, the thing that you use to wash dishes or hair, or shampoo, anything that bubbles, it reduces the foaming, and then it leaves behind the soap scum, which is a combination of calcium, magnesium, as well as the soap products. And then say if your towel has soap scum and you're drying yourself off with a towel afterwards, your skin is already dry, and then that bit gets onto your skin, it's just much more prone to irritation if you have sensitive skin.
Completely. So you had the idea, you did the research, you created like filter systems and products, and then you kind of put it out there on the market. How was that moment? Because I feel like there's a lot of like an educational piece that has to be done for customers. Did you find that?
I think that's, I would say that in the beginning, we are like almost 5 years old now. And in the beginning, because no such solutions really existed or such brand existed, it was very difficult to get the awareness out there. And I think a lot of what we do when it comes to marketing is education. And there draws this like very fine line between education, and there's so much science, and it can get overwhelming for the average consumer. And it's really about breaking it down into making the awareness really relatable and be like, oh, do you have these certain type of issues, and giving sort of visual cues and then backing them up with studies, but still making it in a way that's like, oh, okay, I can relate to it. It's aesthetically pleasing. It's not too much information.
Yeah, completely.
And yeah, it's overall looking at it from like organic, social, press, and just everything working holistically to tell the story.
Completely. I do think that as a brand, you guys make it really simple. Like you can like install it yourself. So let's touch on that, because I think one of the biggest barriers for consumers would be like, oh, I can't, how do I add a filter to my shower? That's really complicated. And also, like you said, like you were traveling around a lot. So like if people is like constantly traveling, or they have multiple homes in different locations, like they're like, oh, I might have to buy like 4. But that's not the case with your product. So you've made it super simple, right? To like take it with you or like install it yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think the best product is the product that you're going to use. So for us from day one, we knew that with all gadgets and tools, installation can easily throw people off, because they're like, oh, do I need a plumber? Do I need a handy person? So we're like, really, we try to make the process as seamless as possible. It's really a DIY. We have now 3 models, but it's essentially everything can be done within 2 minutes. And if you're somebody who travels, we have customers who take the shower head, the one I've given you, and you can just take it along with you. All you have to do is pop off the hotel one, install the Hello Klean, and just remember to swap it when you check out.
Don't leave it in the hotel.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I mean, that's just amazing. And I feel like TikTok was like huge for you guys in terms of growth. How was your experience with TikTok and growing on TikTok?
I think TikTok was great, and I think it's for us, it's just a really authentic channel to connect and storytell in a less polished way compared to Instagram. And that's just, you're able to capture a lot of different customers who are on there really looking at, you know, the storytelling and the wow, and you can be much more experiential with it.
Yeah, completely. And I think they quite like that, like longer form where you can probably like explain everything in a bit more detail, like show how to install it, and like, yeah, it's a bit more raw, like you say, which I think works quite nicely.
And I think people do, I mean, you know so much about food, but people go on TikTok and search for recipes, they search for solutions, and it's that intention where they're like, okay, I'm happy to watch a longer form video because that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, completely. And what else did you find really helped the brand to grow?
Well, we managed to scale quite a lot with Instagram marketing as well. And also working alongside like nano creators, you know, in terms of like just different angles to experiment on storytelling. And from day one, I would say that PR is always really important. Even though I remember, you know, in day one, when you don't have that much money to pay retainers and stuff, there's something with earned media and the credibility that it gives within the industry and the brand building, which is something that, you know, new D2C brands where it's just like, I'm going to just spend on ads. That's something that is just, you can't compete with.
It's so true. I think you definitely need both. And I think it's one of those things where like, you'll see something on TikTok and be like, is this like a TikTok fad? Then you'll do your back research. And then if you see it kind of featured with a reputable media source, you're like, okay, then so I think it's like you do need that kind of, it gives you that credibility. Yeah, I completely agree.
It does. And I think it also feeds into like the customer like purchase journey as well. I think it's very rare that someone would just see an ad and immediately go and buy something. I think that maybe have worked like 10 years ago. But now it's almost like, oh, they have to, they've maybe seen the ad, they want to click on your organic social to see what are the comments like, what are people actually saying, and then they'll see it again on an influencer that they follow, and then they'll do research and read like an article or review before they buy.
Yeah, completely. There's gonna be so many different touch points.
Yeah.
And then you guys were on Dragon's Den. So do you mind sharing a bit about that experience? Because as a huge Dragon's Den consumer, I love hearing the kind of like behind the scenes. And how was the whole experience for you?
It was one of the most rewarding but most stressful moments, I would say, my whole life, not just my career. I've never been on TV before, and I always get like quite camera shy, but it's that, like, I guess the whole experience where you walk into the den and it's kind of set up where there's multiple cameras whirling around you, you're mic'd up, and also, I don't know if you noticed, but the dragons are sat a lot higher. I guess on TV, it feels like, everyone's on the same level, but when you walk in, they're like a lot higher, and with the lighting and stuff, it really feels like, I don't know.
I didn't realize that, actually. I thought you were all on the same level. That's quite interesting because it does create a different power dynamic.
Yes, it does. And I think it's done that purposely on that way because I guess as a show business, they do want to see people like, get a little bit nervous and stuff like that. But what else? I would say that because right before we went in, I was just so busy trying to practice my pitch. We thought of the different scenarios and the different questions. And the producer was just like, once you get out of the elevator, look for the X and just stand there. I was like looking for the X. I couldn't find the X.
That's so funny.
So there was like a couple of minutes of like me going like that, but they cropped that part out.
Okay, that's good.
But overall, I think it's done amazing for brands. And I'm so lucky to be part of that experience. I'm not from the UK, and it's just so many British consumers, their approval, and also it's just a show that makes you tell your story in a way that where people are questioning you, it just adds that much more credibility and gets the word out.
It rips your business apart, basically, and you've got to be like completely bulletproof.
Yes.
And that's really tough. But I watched it and I think you guys came across amazingly and they did love it. And I think it's a great product. You're solving a problem, which is actually a serious problem. And like everyone experiences it, and your market is huge because everyone goes through and experiences hard water. So going back to water, obviously your product is kind of like is shower based, but are you now very wary about water that you drink and water that you wash your clothes in? Like, is water now something that's constantly on your mind in terms of making sure you're constantly consuming, whether it's shower, clothes, or like drinking, the right filtered water?
Yeah, 100%. I don't have a water softener installed in my London home, but I do drink filtered water. And this is something that I always like tell this to our customer as well. If you're drinking filtered water, you should also filter the shower water that you wash in.
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely. So in terms of like where Hello Klean is going, because obviously you guys have like created some amazing new products recently and like rebranded and all of that, which is super exciting. But like, where is like the future of Hello Klean in terms of where you see the brand going?
Yeah. So I would say that up until like last year, we were still very direct to consumer focused, and that's how we grew. But now I think one of the key growth areas is really getting into more retail and having that as a touch point to really engage with the consumers. So we are currently stocked at Selfridges, Sephora, Planet Organic. But I think there's definitely a lot more room there in having that face-to-face interaction and that education piece as we were talking about.
Definitely. And I guess also some people might not even think about it. Water is water, and you trust water, which is really crazy that we can't trust the thing that comes out of our shower, because that just seems like a natural thing, but it's just not, because of obviously what we touched on earlier about all the kind of chemicals and stuff. And is the hard water getting worse?
Hard water itself isn't getting worse, and it's also not dangerous to drink. But I would say that in terms of like the pollution in the water is definitely getting worse. So UK, this was in 2020, was ranked last by a study put out by EPA Europe amongst the other European countries for like worst bathing water.
Wow.
Yeah. And also, I would say, just going back into like the pollution and stuff, you have chemicals, you have you have your chlorine, you have fluoride, which some people don't really like, and you have chemical residues from pharmaceuticals to other unwanted substances that are also found inside.
God, last. That's quite worrying. You wouldn't think we'd be last, but yeah, that's... And I'm guessing Hello Clean products also gets rid of the pollution as well as the hard water. I guess it kind of filters out any impurities.
Yeah, so with our shower filters, we target chemicals like chlorine, chloramine, and we are also able to, we have a layer of like PP cotton, which also traps some of the what's it called, the microplastics as well.
Yeah. Okay. And then in terms of like the body lotion and stuff like that, why does that, what does that include in the ingredients that also help with the hard water and like your skin?
With the body lotion, so we also have the Clean complex inside. And besides that, so take the cold cream, for instance. That's really formulated for people with flare-prone skin. So we added in 15% of a centella extract. So it's also known as Sika extract or tiger grass. There's many names for it. But it is a wonderful ingredient to really soothe any sensitivity. And it's commonly used in skincare products. But when I formulate them, I work with the formulators, and I was like, we need to match, even though it's a body product, we need to match the actives and also just, I guess, the efficacy with the products we put on the skin.
Completely. Like, we have such advanced skincare for our face, but what about our bodies? It's the same.
Yeah.
Same. I mean, slightly different, but pretty much same.
It is the same.
Yeah.
I guess sometimes people are like, oh, people don't see my elbow as much. So.
Yeah. Not going to worry about that. But
yeah,
crazy. And what about like hotels and spas? Is that something that you guys would go into? Because I'm just thinking like, you go to a spa for a luxury experience or a lovely hotel for a luxury experience. But like if it's in London, again, the same issues apply.
Yeah, definitely. I think with partnerships, that's a key area we want to focus on. I think similar with the approach that we take for retail, I personally believe that because the brand is so education heavy and people really need time to experience it, it's not one of those brands that's like good for everywhere and anywhere, but having this key select partners, whether it's a gym, whether it's a spa, whether it's like one or two hair salons where it can really give that experience would really help us.
Yeah, completely. I so see that because hairdressers is another one. They're giving you all these like, do you want a hair mask? Do you want this? Do you want that? And actually like, let's solve the water problem and then you can put the hair mask on my hair.
Yeah.
So what does like health and wellness look like to you? So obviously you've kind of gone from a bit of a personal experience where you had all these skin conditions and different things for flaring up and you kind of got to the bottom of the source of that. So, and now you're a founder of a business. So yeah, what does health and wellness look like for you now?
It's something that I really prioritize personally is sleep. And for me that means going to bed before 11. And I think it's just one of those things. It's having that time for yourself, making sure that you do get that amount of rest, so next day you wake up more energized. And problems, there's always issues with the business, but the mood that you walk into is very, very much affected. What else do I do? Just overall trying to live a more balanced life. Like I use the Oura ring.
Yeah.
Just more mindful of decisions I'm taking in my life and how that impacts my body.
Completely. Yeah. I think sleep is something that's definitely on everyone's mind. And I think, before 11, I mean, my phone goes into sleep mode at 9:30, just so I'm not on my phone as much, which definitely helps. But then last night I was reading and I looked at my phone. It wasn't like it sending me notifications, but I just looked at the time and it was like 11:15 and I was like, oh my gosh, panic, like quick, get to sleep. So I think getting those 7 or 8 hours sleep is essential. And how do you kind of balance your time being a founder? Like, am I right in saying your co-founder is also your partner?
Yes.
So how does that dynamic work?
I think setting up like clear boundaries on when you talk about work and when it's time for personal life.
Yeah.
Because when these boundaries are not set up, like as you can also imagine being a business owner, there's always an emergency. There's always something that you can discuss. There's always something that requires fixing. But then it just ends up overwhelming you.
Yeah, completely. I think the boundaries are super important, but like you live and breathe it, so it is super hard. And what's the split in terms of the dynamic? Like, are you kind of like marketing and product? Is he like finance operations?
You completely nailed it.
Oh, really? It sounds so bad, but like that's really stereotypical of me. But I just think that girls tend to be more product marketing because we have that kind of aesthetic eye or the good eye for those things. And men are just very good at the finance,
analytical
finance and operations.
I think that this is obviously not to generalize, but I think most of my girlfriends, we are, I think, naturally more intuitive. And because we are so intuitive, then when it comes to marketing and managing any sort of communications and stuff, it just comes much more from, I guess, emotional level.
Completely. No, I agree. So we have a final question, which is bringing it all back to food. So I'd love to know what your last meal would be. Starter, main course, and dessert.
The last meal, like last dinner.
Like last dinner, yeah.
Oh.
Like what your, like, people say death row meal or like that kind of thing is.
Starter. Okay, let's start with the main course.
Yeah.
So I would like my main course to be lagman.
What's that?
So it's a Central Asian dish. It's a noodle dish, which is like hand pulled, but it's made in this sauce that combines beef, pepper, as well as like tomatoes. And it's just a really like heartwarming dish that prepares you for your journey.
No, yeah, sets you up well.
Yes. And for the starter, I think I would maybe go with a salad with cucumbers as well as tomatoes.
Okay, nice.
But without feta cheese.
No feta.
Yeah, I don't like feta.
Yeah, no, fine. Yeah, I'm not a fan of feta really. So like a Greek salad, but no feta.
Yes.
Yeah, nice. And then dessert?
I don't really eat much sweets.
Fine.
Maybe a tiramisu?
Okay, yeah. Good one. I love it. Karlee, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your journey with Hello Klean. I'm really excited to try your products. I know you kindly gave me a few today, so I am really excited and I want to see whether this kind of dry patch is going to go. And also, I sometimes get psoriasis on my scalp. Like all of the things you've covered, I am definitely a culprit of all of those. So I'm really excited to try it. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing the whole story with us.
Thank you so much.